Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today we have the opportunity to work on a reel. It's a Ambassador 7000 BY, which means Blue Yonder. You can see it on the crossbar here. And well, this is a large format Ambassador. It does not have the level wind feature. Kind of similar in profile to a Pen Jigmaster. And we're going to show you how to take this one apart, how to service it, and how to keep it running for a long time to come. I can start by taking off the exterior pieces and parts, and as I do, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like the art of reel repair, if you like to see how reels are made, understand a little bit about their histories, and of course how to service them. Well, then I would encourage you to subscribe to my channel, and if you do, use that notification bar. The notification bar will tell you what I'm posting, when I'm posting, and well, you can make a decision as to whether that's something that you want to watch. Well, I've removed the little retention ring and the screw that holds it to the handle. Next up is to remove the cap that holds the handle on. And then under that cap, you're going to find a little C-clip. The little C-clip, most of the time you can just pry it out with a screwdriver. Hold it because it will shoot. It's got tension on it. But I call it a C-clip. It's actually an E-clip. The E-clip has that third little point inside of it. And then we can remove the handle. I noticed on the handle that there is a little oil port on here. If you have an oiler, this one happens to be from a Lucas fishing reel oil container. Use it. Go inside that. If you don't, use a toothpick or a little safety pin to depress and then put the oil in that way. All right, there's two clips. Good place to tell you to take pictures if you are servicing this reel. If you don't know the reel, then by all means, take the pictures as you remove them and find a safe place for storage for your pieces and parts. That's been a while since I've worked on a Blue Yonder, so I thought I would go out to the internet. Right on the Abu site, there is a series of schematic diagrams that you can get, and those will tell you the burst diagrams. I wanted to look at this one because I seem to remember that this free spool switch has got to come off as you remove the side plate. All right, we're going to remove the star adjuster here, and I think, if I recall, this reel is not made in Sweden, and I believe it's one of the Chinese-made Ambassadors. And I haven't been a fan of the other Blue Yonder that I did. It had a lot of plastic pieces and parts in it. Not sure if we're going to see that on this edition, but the one that I had certainly had more plastic pieces and parts than I probably would have thought were there. I think it was probably more of an economical move. What I'm doing here is there's four of these little bell washers, tension washers. They give you the tension on your star adjuster. I wanted to take them off before they jumped out anywhere. And when I take my pieces and parts off, I put them into a parts tray. I'm using the bottom of a fast food container as a parts tray. You can use whatever system you like to manage the parts that you remove, but I do encourage you to have a pre-thought system rather than starting to pull them all off, dropping them on your bench, hoping that somehow they'll be there when it's time to put the reel back in order. There are three screws that hold the side plate onto the frame. I'm going to remove those. I just used the screwdriver to crack the nut, and then they have these knurled surfaces on it so you can back them out with finger pressure. Let's do that. We should be able to remove that at this point. Okay, let's service the non-gear side first. I'm going to remove the handle. There's nothing underneath here. I was checking for a bearing. There is a bearing on this side, so I'm going to oil that bearing. And my guess would be that there's probably another bearing right here in the cap. Looks that way. Might be a bushing. It looks like a bushing. We'll just go ahead and put that in there. This does have some magnets in it, so we do have a mag adjuster as well. You don't need to touch the mags in that adjuster. All right, let's go over to the side plate then. As I mentioned, I think that this one has to be removed in order to remove your side plate. When I'm looking at the schematic here, it does look like there's a plastic attachment piece or some kind of attachment piece here with that spring. And I think that spring, all of this assembly here, which is your override, is going to stay on your frame or your back plate for the reel. So I'm going to just take that off. I know I learned my lesson once, I think it was on a quantum iron, where I didn't think you had to do that. And I don't want to say I got into trouble, but let's just say I needed a recovery plan because when I pulled it out, all kinds of stuff underneath that I wasn't expecting, didn't really know much about how to see it, all kind of came loose from trying to pull that assembly out. So I believe if you have this Blue Yonder reel, you're going to want to take that little free lever off. Okay, this is an interesting little reel. Not so little. It's used for surf casting, deep drop fishing. So you can surf cast it. It has a mag adjuster on that side, so you can work the tension of it. Boy, something sprang up here. That just jumped out all by itself. So there's some kind of tension going on here. Let's remove this and see what we got. Well, I was correct on the don't remove or don't try to take the handle side off because of that adjuster. We've got two springs here. These are the yoke springs. We have our main gear and shaft. We have a backup forked dog for the anti-reverse. We have the yoke and spring setup. And as I mentioned, there's an awful lot of plastic in here, and that's kind of what I kind of shy away from. All right, this did jump off. I'll show you how to reset that. It's not hard. Actually, I think I just reset it. But if you did not remove the arm on the free spool and you tried to remove the side plate, you would be pulling this up and this piece up and your swing piece as well. Okay. All right, let's just clean up. There's not much here. Clean that up. You want to inspect all your pieces and parts as you do this, and you want to make sure that the pieces and parts are all uniform and that they're clean. If there's anything going on in the reel that's not clean, for example, we have some leftover grease here, and then go ahead and mop that up. Okay, that looks good. I think these are bushings. They don't appear to be bearings. I have another cap here. I'm thinking that one probably belongs on the outside of the reel here, not the inside, for that swing arm, or it belongs on the inside here. One or the other. We'll go back to the schematic, take a look. And that's part number 38. Part number 38 is a washer that belongs on the outside of the case. Okay. All right. Set the side plate apart. Let's go in and clean up your yoke assembly. You have a couple of things on this yoke assembly to note. One side has a series of ridges. That's the back side. And the other side is flat and flush. That's the side that's going to face you. On your pinion gear, you're going to have one side that's got the gear teeth on it, and the other side's going to have slots on it The gear side teeth face you. This faces inside to grab the spool. Check all of the teeth, make sure that they're clean and uniform, and then go ahead and get some fishing reel grease. I'm going to use Pen Precision Reel Grease. I use an artist's brush with that. That's because I don't tend to lose the hairs on the brush. Last thing you want to do is get things trapped in your reel that don't belong there. And give it a good coat of grease. Get that greased up, we can go ahead and put the yoke on. Again, ramp side to the back, slotted side to the back. Okay, when you go to set this now, you want to set it into the down position so that your release is all the way down, that the crown of the inner ring is on the last dots here, and the crown on your free spool release is there. You're in free spool mode at this point. That's going to enable you to set your yoke and your gear flat so that when you hold it, you'll see the ramp is fully engaged here and on the back side. Okay, then we know this goes on top of that, like that. And we can come over and service the main gear and the drag washers. Again, take pictures here if you're wondering how the assembly goes, because it'll save you time and effort later. On the underside of our main gear, we have the pressure plate for the back end of the main gear. We have the ratchet ring for the backup anti-reverse dog. That's a finger dog. You'll see it has two fingers on each side. One side slips over, one side slips under. For that, you have the little copper piece on the bottom. These four studs are what's going to trip this arm when you go to spin the reel. On the back end of our main gear, we have a drag washer that's going to sit on that small ring. Just have to clean that off. And then it looks like we have the equivalent of what would be HT100 washers. You have the option to grease those or not. Kind of a carbon text washer. Since they're dry, we'll leave them dry, and we'll start the reassembly. We'll take the main shaft after we've greased it, align the hole in that anti-reverse dog so that it fits over that anti-reverse dog pivot point. And you may need a little assist from something like a pick or that to line it up. Make sure you're all the way down on that. Okay. Next, check your main gear. Make sure all of your teeth are uniform and clean. They are. If they're not clean, go ahead and clean them. You can use a hard bristle brush. You can use some degreasers like a penetrating oil or something to get the old greases out of there. This one probably has been oiled but not greased, so we're going to go ahead and put that in. All right, I've already got one of the drag washers in there. This is a 6 drag washer set, and it's a traditional set. So you have a keyed washer. That's the one with the rectangular type center in the middle of it. That goes in first. The other one goes in last. This is your second drag washer. The middle washer is called an eared washer. It has a circular center and 2 prongs on it. That fits in the slot. Then your third one. Now if you wanted to grease those washers, and then the thicker washer is going up top. There are 2 different thicknesses to those keyed washers. The thicker one belongs up top. But if you wanted to do a light greasing of those, you can. Use a fishing reel grease, or you can use the one that's called Cal's Universal Drag Grease, which is sort of made that way for that. But regardless of what you use, wipe them down before you go much further. Okay, we have this set, and the only thing that needs to get worked on here, if you will, is this arm here. That's going to have to get tucked inside the case when we put that case back on. We've got the 2 yoke springs. They go next. And then inside your case here, we have an instant anti-reverse clutch. You don't need to do anything with the anti-reverse clutch. If you did take it out, notice the orientation on it. There's a shiny center on this side, and well, probably not a center on the other side. Line your case up, bring that over the top, line the balance of this up, and then of course you got to move your piece in as you go to set the case. And we have a nice firm snap there, so everything should be good with this. I'm going to start by putting one of those side plate screws in. Just because I want to test. I want to bring this free spool adjuster back. Make sure that you have a nice tight seam all the way around. Put the other one in. I want to do that so that I have access to that free spool release there. So we should be in drive mode now. We have that clear plastic washer. With that washer on, go to your parts tray and get the screw that's going to hold that down. Let's get that installed. And then we can test. This is going to be a trip to free spool, and it should trip back. It trips back. There you go. All right, we're in good condition with that. We have those 4 of the tension washers now. They're curved. Don't try to flatten the washers. I like to kind of nest them. So I put curve to curve so that the outer rims touch and there's a space inside. We have 4 of those. If you wanted less of a spring in your adjuster, you can nest them this way, curve to curve, and that'll give you less play in that star adjuster. Star adjuster is on, or your tension washers are on. Let's put that star adjuster on now. When you put your tension washer on, or I'm sorry, your star adjuster on, you need to make sure it's going on square. I get too many of these reels in with stripped bridge plate sleeves. That's all because the person who was putting it on wanted to force it on rather than just take a breath and understand that they didn't have it going on straight. I actually have one in my shop right now from a lever drag wheel where I haven't seen that before, but it happened there. The preset adjuster was put on incorrectly, and it's jammed on the spool. Okay, the spool gets a little bit of grease on both sides. We oiled the bearing before. Now we just want to oil the shafts. Bring the assembly over now, line up the holes. Just slide it on, and just like we did with the other one, make sure you have a nice tight seam across the pieces. Just like I kind of did, only in reverse, I'm going to use my fingers to get the screws started. That way I know I'm not stripping those screws in the side plate. And we'll tighten that piece up, install the rest of this, and give it a final test here. So this is the Blue Yonder. It's the 7000. Again, it's perfect for like Great Lakes fishing, trolling, casting it off of shore. If you like the traditional big casting reels. Can be used as a surf reel. And let's see where we go now. We go with the rounded washer goes, well, no it doesn't. This one goes. There's a tension washer on the axle shaft. And we have a little insert in the handle. So that'll go next. Then you can see the recess here, that'll go on. And then before we put the nut cap and retention clip back on, we want to put the E-clip back on. Again, finger pressure usually does that. Most of the time you can't get the handle on if you put the E-clip on first. So I save that for last. Again, make sure that your nut cap goes on square. And this came off in a traditional righty-tighty, lefty-loosey manner. So it goes back on, turning it clockwise to tighten it down. Tighten your drag system down. And now we can align our retention clip. There's two sides on it. Of course, I picked the wrong side, but that's okay. If I haven't mentioned it before, if you have any questions about this reel or any reel in particular, if you leave them in the comment section, I do try to answer those questions as best I can. This is our retention screw for that clip. I'm going to use a little screw starter here. This is a Klein tool. And we'll just tighten that down. I don't tighten the last turn with that starter. Okay, Blue Yonder 7000 Bay Ambassadeur, not made in Sweden, magnetic control. Let's give it a try. Oh, it turns nice and smooth and easy. I check the drags. Did I tighten them? The drags are fine. Now when you're done fishing for the day, release the drag pressure. If you don't, this acts as a vise, clamps down on them. If you did put any lubrication on those drags, it'll just press it right out. All right, free spool. Want to turn your dial to the free spool. Now you can adjust that free spool. You have adjusters on both sides. If your spool is a little bit too tight, go ahead and take the tension off of that, and you'll get more or less spin depending on what you like. You can also adjust your mag component. This is the start. And what they say when you're adjusting a mag component is if you don't know what you want, put it right in the middle, like that. And that way you can control the spin and the backlash of a reel. And if you want more, you bring it to the less side. If you want less, well, just put it to the more side. If you want less, you bring it over this way. So this one was set up in the max, but it's always a good idea when you start to start your mag adjuster right in the middle. Well, that's it. That's your Bay Ambassadeur 7000 BY Blue Yonder fishing reel. That's how you take it apart. That's an inside look, and that's how you service the reel to keep it fishing. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. To our first responders and essential personnel, thank you for your career choices and for your dedication to task. Well, to everyone, it's a great day out there. Make sure that you keep your tackle, fishing rods and reels all serviced and ready to go to take advantage of the time that you have on the water and to assure worry-free fishing when you're out there hooking up with the game or quarry of your choice. So this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day. Please stay healthy, stay well, stay fishing.